Yeah, you're so welcome.
The other one I wanted to ask about is the
Hmm.
the four lobes.
Hmm.
How does that stand alone or in other processes compared to what we
So
did this weekend?
any time what the goal is there, like that's a very general blend. You know how like the vital center class, we have all the different vital centers, but then there's a blend also just called vital center. Like that's a good maintenance in between working all the vital centers, the individual pieces. And the same thing with the four lobes. You know, the next new class that we'll be doing in July is going to be about really harmonizing the two sides of the brain and calming down agitation in each specific lobe. So like each lobe will have its own blend that you'll go through and inhale, and it's very, very soothing. And another aspect of that is the cerebellum, which we'll just use the thing out of the vital centers for that, and then the cerebral spinal fluid circulation, which we might use a single oil. We might use the fourth ventricle from the vital centers class, but going through and calming that down, it harmonizes the two sides of the brain so that the right side, which is traditionally like the more intuitive side, like if you looked at it, it would be intuitive and logical. You go to the left side, it's logical and intuitive. And so what that means is the two sides of the mind are reducing in the conflict between each other, and they're starting to harmonize with each other. So esoterically, we would refer to that as degrees of oneness, degrees of oneness, definitely. And the four lobes helps, in a way, it helps maintain that. It's hitting all those different aspects of the brain. It's not as specific to one, each lobe, but it's still working in that particular area. And so I find that processing information, processing emotions, calming down the mind, calming down repetitive thoughts. I should probably put that in next week's daily dose. Like that would be a good one. The four lobes. I'll do like a whole big bullet point thing of all the different things that it does next week. But just think of it as good brain health, like not necessarily brain fatigue, but more like the chatter in the brain, and also how the nervous system and endocrine system kind of like function with each other. And so it just kind of harmonizes all of those aspects. Think of it as like a tonic for those things. It's not super, super specific, but it's one of those things you can do on the fly, a little short time, doing it in between. We used it in the brainwave class over the weekend, but it was just to keep harmonizing the brain so that the waves could function more appropriately.
I look forward